In this episode, I want to take you to the front row of one of the most sensitive diplomatic encounters unfolding in global affairs. President Cyril Ramaphosa's upcoming meeting with the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. This is not just a routine bilateral exchange between two leaders. It is a meeting charged with ideological tension, personal ego, historical weight, and geopolitical consequence. It is a moment where diplomacy is tested not in quiet backrooms, but in full view of the world. At the heart of this meeting are a set of very explosive issues. Accusations by Trump that the South African government is persecuting Afrikaners. South Africa's legal case at the International Court of Justice against Israel's genocide in Gaza. A wider backdrop of racial politics, misinformation, and contested truths. And the fate of key bilateral agreements such as AGOA and PEPFAR. But it is also a meeting between two vastly different political personalities. One, Cyril Ramaphosa, a seasoned negotiator who helped navigate the end of apartheid and mediate peace in Northern Ireland. The other, Donald Trump, a populist showman who sees diplomacy as performance. So the question we ask today is this: can Ramaphosa negotiate his way around Trump's volatile impulses? Or will this be yet another moment where principle is drowned by spectacle? Hello everyone, welcome back to Joe Talks Politics. I am your host, Joseph Musia. Let's get right into this. Donald Trump has, both during his first presidential term and again now, accused the South African government of persecuting its white minority, specifically Afrikaner farmers. He has referenced alleged farm seizures and violence in South Africa, often parroting discredited reports from extreme right and white nationalist sources. These allegations are part of a broader conspiracy theory that claims there is white genocide underway in South Africa. We all know that this is categorically false. While crime and insecurity are real issues, they affect all races in South Africa and are rooted in systemic socio-economic challenges. The accusation is not just wrong, but it is very dangerous. It frames the post-apartheid project of restitution as racial victimization and paints a distorted picture of South Africa's constitutional democracy. And now, Trump is poised to bring this narrative directly to this meeting with President Ramaphosa. President Ramaphosa, on the other hand, ever the strategist, will not and should not walk into this meeting unprepared. Here are the key issues he is likely to raise. I expect that Ramaphosa will explain that South Africa's land reform efforts are grounded in the Constitution and designed to redress the legacies of colonial dispossession and apartheid. This is not about retribution. It is about restorative justice done legally, transparently, and with national cohesion in mind. Ramaphosa will stress that Afrikaners, like all citizens, enjoy the full protection of the law. Afrikaner culture, language, and economic influence remain significant in South Africa's post-apartheid democracy. He will acknowledge rural violence but reject the racial framing. Instead, he'll position the issue as one of broader safety, needing investment in policing, infrastructure, and rural development. On the Israel-Gaza ICJ case, Ramaphosa will explain that South Africa's case against Israel at the ICJ is about legal accountability, not ideology. It's driven by the country's commitment to international law and humanitarian values forged in the fires of its own liberation. He will likely point out that standing against potential war crimes is not anti-Semitic. It is consistent with the legacy of Nelson Mandela and the values enshrined in South Africa's post-apartheid constitution. But can Ramaphosa out-negotiate Trump? And this is where the drama will be lying. Cyril Ramaphosa is not just a president. He is a highly respected negotiator. We all know the key role he played in South Africa's peaceful democratic transition. He also helped broker the Good Friday Agreement in Northern Ireland. His political instincts are sharp, patient, and deliberate. Donald Trump, on the other hand, negotiates by bullying. He thrives on asymmetry, disruption, and image management. We saw this during his White House meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, where Trump used the promise of military aid to pressure a foreign leader into helping his domestic political campaign. So will Trump use this meeting to grandstand? Almost certainly. Will he seek to humiliate Ramaphosa publicly? Perhaps. But Ramaphosa is not easily rattled. His strategy must be to keep the conversation grounded in facts, avoid rhetorical traps or sound bites that could be manipulated, and speak beyond Trump, addressing the American public, the global South, and the international diplomatic community. Because the truth is, Trump may not be moved by logic or history, but others are watching. And if Ramaphosa should perform, it must be for them. It is impossible to understand Trump's hostility without recognizing two underlying drivers: race politics and his unyielding support for the Netanyahu government in Israel. Trump's worldview is shaped by an ethno-nationalist lens. He has described African nations as shithole countries. He has retweeted white supremacists. He sees multiculturalism as a threat, not a strength. Moreover, his alignment with Israel is not just political. It is theological, transactional, and deeply tied to his voter base, particularly evangelical Christians. South Africa's ICJ case against Israel, which accuses the Netanyahu government of genocide in Gaza, is seen by Trump's camp as an existential attack, not just on Israel, but on Trump's own legacy and alliances. Ramaphosa must walk a fine line. He must remain firm in his legal and moral position while avoiding unnecessary antagonism, reaffirming South Africa's historical support for a two-state solution, and presenting the ICJ case not as an ideological crusade, but as a defense of international norms that apply to all. Let us now consider a wild card: South African-born billionaire Elon Musk. Musk has made occasional remarks about South Africa, often pointing to crime or government inefficiency. While he hasn't explicitly echoed Trump's racial claims, his tech, libertarian rhetoric, and large following make him a powerful amplifier. Musk has the ability to shape American perceptions of South Africa, even unintentionally. His views could influence how the Trump administration, especially its advisors and online base, frame the meeting. Ramaphosa should not try to silence Musk, but he should engage with expatriates like him strategically. To explain the complexity of South Africa's policies, to invite dialogue rather than disinformation, and to remind global South Africans of their role in advancing the country's democratic project, even from afar. Two major programs are at risk if relations sour further. The first is AGOA, the African Growth and Opportunity Act. This program allows South African products duty-free access to American markets. It supports thousands of jobs in agriculture, manufacturing, and exports. Trump may threaten AGOA access to punish South Africa for its ICJ case or its defiance of his ideological line. Ramaphosa must frame AGOA not as a gift, but as a mutually beneficial agreement, one that creates jobs in both countries and fosters regional stability. Then there is PEPFAR, the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief. This landmark initiative has saved millions of lives in Africa. South Africa is a major beneficiary. Trump, ever transactional, has seen it as a bargaining chip and frozen it. Ramaphosa should make it clear that undermining PEPFAR is not just morally indefensible, it's geopolitically short-sighted. A healthy, stable Africa and South Africa is in the strategic interest of the United States. We are living through an era of unorthodox diplomacy, where power is projected not only through armies and economies, but through narratives, optics, and identity. In this moment, President Ramaphosa is not just a political actor. He's a steward of South Africa's post-apartheid promise. His meeting with President Trump is not a contest of personalities, but a contest of world views. Can justice stand up to propaganda? Can decency withstand demagoguery? And can diplomacy remain civil even in the face of insult? These are not academic questions. They are the lived realities of international affairs today. Because in the end, how a nation conducts itself in moments of pressure reveals what kind of nation it truly is. Ramaphosa may not persuade Trump, but if he holds the line with grace, clarity, and moral courage, he will do what great negotiators do: win without boasting and stand without bending. I will see you in the next episode. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this one, please like, share, and comment on it. And if you are not yet a subscriber, please consider doing so.